Okay, so Georgie, would you please begin by giving us a bit of an insight as to, well, we know your name, Georgi Rollings. She's from Starfish Accounting. Just tell us a little bit more about Starfish Accounting, just by way of introduction.
Okay, hello everybody. I'm glad you've all had coffee, so hopefully you'll be able to stay awake. So Starfish Accounting, we're a small firm. There's myself and Emma Lawrence. We're the two partners in the business, and then we've got a team of an additional 4 part-time staff, and we're a little bit unusual. Bunch of women. We all work around childcare commitments, all of that sort of stuff. And we built the business up from when I started it quite literally in my spare room. Where are we? About 7 years ago now. To a team of 6, proper office, and we've got more than 250 clients. So it's been quite a progression for us over the last few years. We deal with quite a wide range of businesses. We market towards women in business, which is a slightly unusual niche because it doesn't really fit one particular industry. And we are a very, very sort of predominantly cloud-based business as well, which helps us in our working hours.
Georgie, could you just give us a flavour of, obviously the reason I've got you on here is so you can talk through your journey with AVN really, and what the benefits that you've seen in your practice have been as a result of implementing some of this stuff. But just take us back to the time before AVN. What compelled you to come along to our masterclass event in the first place? What were the key challenges that you were facing at the time?
I originally heard of AVN after going to a course on pricing that was run by Mark Wickersham. And at the time, he asked us some very interesting questions during part of the training around how much our average fee was per client. And at that point, our average fee per client was less than £1,000. And I was spending a lot of time chasing my tail on a lot of low-paying work, which when you work part-time hours isn't particularly great. I then got interested in the message that I was getting from Mark. We tried to take away some of the learning from that and apply it within our business. And doing it without any kind of structural support was not an easy way to go. And then I got invited to a masterclass run at the time by Steve Pipe. Went along for the day with one of the team who was under strict instructions not to let me sign up come what may. And by the end of the day, I was sitting there, everything that was said in the masterclass in the original day, which I don't think AVN do anymore, it absolutely resonated with me. And some of the numbers that we were pulling together to try and project what kind of changes we could see in our business if we applied some of these tools and tips and techniques was just unbelievable. So I signed up on the spot. The team thought I was completely barking mad when I came back and tried to explain it, particularly to my business partner who wasn't there that day. And they're all now complete converts. It's made an enormous change to us, and our average fee per client, I haven't actually run the calculations recently, but it's a lot more than £1,000. And the kind of clients that we are picking up now, we're generally talking £3,000, £4,000, £5,000 or more per client. So it's been an enormous change for us over the last few years.
Thank you. Any questions so far? I'm sure we'll start to come. Okay, give us some.
How many years in?
Oh, sorry, yeah. What is it? Since joining, how many years has been started?
How many years of starting practice?
Oh, so how long is it since you established your practice?
I started in March 2011.
And then joining.
And then when did you join? Because I can't remember myself.
I can't remember. It's got to be about 3.5 years ago. Is it that long? Can't remember.
Okay. What would you say some of the again, the key benefit, I mean, you just mentioned the average client fees. What are the other sort of great outcomes that you've seen?
I'd say that the number one biggest benefit is a really hard one to define. Actually, you can't tie it down to a particular tool or a particular resource. It's been an attitude shift by all of us with what we're doing and how we are doing it. And pre-AVN, I was very much of the opinion that I had to do absolutely anything to keep my clients happy. And it was more about them and less about us. And what I didn't really see was that if I was doing a lot of work for which I wasn't charging, the client didn't even necessarily appreciate that the work had been done. And we had a very distorted setup where I'd be working all hours for very little money to try and keep my clients as happy as possible, so that the customer service was fantastic. Whereas really I couldn't provide the kind of customer service that they needed, because I didn't have the time being paid for to encourage me to go to the nth degree. So it was a very sort of twisted way around. And what's happened since we joined AVN, we've all had a real shift, and it's been a gradual thing. We're still shifting, where we'll sit and look at what we do and say, well, actually, we've just had a long conversation with a client about something I did the other week that I haven't charged for, about moving from standard accrual accounting for VAT and move them onto the cash basis. And that's going to work a lot better for their business. And I've done it, I've not charged for it. Well, why haven't I charged for it? They're getting value from that piece of work. It's taken me time. Perhaps if I'd charged for it, I would have sat down, I would have done the calculations in more detail. I could have sent them over to him, got it approved, rather than having a quick chat on the phone. And it's one of those, you really need to look at what you're doing and how it affects both the client and the team, and try and figure out how to make it work better for everybody. And at the end of the day, that does mean billing for work that you do. And I think we're all guilty of doing work for free. It doesn't benefit anybody at the end of the day.
Questions?
Sorry, what is the advantage to become a AVN member?
Yeah, what's the advantage of becoming an AVN member?
There's been all sorts of things. For us, it's been helping us to keep our business moving forwards. We've changed quite dramatically, I'd say, over the last 2 to 3 years. When I first joined AVN, we didn't even have our own office, actually. We were doing a lot of compliance work, lot of tax returns, etc., and not very much business advisory value add work. That's the end of things that I find more interesting. So one of the things that's still part of our AVN journey, if you like, is that we are moving towards providing more of those sorts of services, and that's where I feel that we can really go in and make a difference to our clients and improve their businesses and how they operate. And for us, if we've got a client that's gone from being one of my favourite clients, a lady who was a sole trader who was doing about £10,000 a year in sales, so really, really small, and I was charging her something like £300 a year. We've been working with her to help her to grow her business, and she's operating through a limited company. She's gone over the VAT registration threshold. She's bringing in significantly higher profits because of her cost base being quite low. Looking at her pricing, how she's marketing, all sorts of interesting things that you wouldn't necessarily get involved in if you're doing just a tax return. And as a result, the fee that we've charged has gone up significantly. We've helped her husband. It's all expanded out into other areas. And I think with AVN, you get the tools and the resources to help you to price correctly, to help you to have those sorts of conversations with your clients as well, and to help you with the business advisory side of things. So long answer, but that's because there's certainly for us, we've seen a huge benefit from joining AVN, and really how we look now is almost incomparable to how we looked 3 years ago.
Any questions?
I was just wondering, what was the most daunting thing that you had to do at the start of the AVN journey that actually, now you've done it, either for you or for the team, wasn't? What made you think, well, I was worried about that?
The thing I spent the most time on in the earlier stages, and I still go back and review and tweak now, is the pricing tool, Time's Up. So I used to find those pricing conversations really difficult, and going in and saying we are worth this fee was something that I struggled with. I don't anymore, because I go in and we plug in that it's this size of business and this is the quality of the accounting records and these are the services that they want, and a number pops out at the end, and there you go. And we've got a restaurant in Brixton, and they're opening a new site a little bit further away, and we went and had a conversation with the main manager there, who's in charge of the new site being opened, and went through Time's Up, and went through the services that he would need. And for a brand new startup business, we've agreed a fee of £8,000 a year, which I would never have had the nerve to have gone in and done that. But it didn't feel like I was asking for a high fee. He needs a lot of support, and those were the services that he wanted. So that tailoring of Time's Up, it suited us and how we have the conversations with our prospects and with our clients, and then rolling that out so the team use it, not just me, and so that we do it with our existing client base when we renew fees, not just with prospects. That was quite daunting at the time, and that's probably in terms of the tools that we use, that's the one that's had the single biggest benefit, just because of the impact it's had on the bottom line.
Thanks.
Next question. Okay, very well.
If you could turn the clock back, when do you think you would have liked to have joined AVN, and what difference would it have made to your business?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a really difficult one, actually. I'm a great one for looking forwards rather than looking backwards. I think when we signed up for AVN, one of the things that made it difficult was that we had a stack of existing clients who are on low fees for compliance work, and trying to apply what we'd learned across that client base made it a lot harder than if we'd had everything set up and ready to do it the way we now want to do it from the get-go. So I suppose from that point of view, I'd say it would have been better if we joined up, if we joined it earlier. But I'm not sure that I would have been ready earlier. I'm not sure that, you go through progressions when you run your own business, and I'm not sure that I could have seen the value in investing in the business earlier. So, I think it worked for us when we did it.
Just tell us about your the roadmaps, because when you first joined, I don't think the AVN roadmaps that we obviously very heavily focus on now were around. So just give us your flavour on that.
I was absolutely delighted when the roadmaps came in. I remember sitting in the conference, listening to you explaining what was going to be happening. And one of the things that I'd found overwhelming with AVN is the sheer volume of fabulous information out there. What do you start? What do you work on first? And I tried to work through stacks of the training, and I tried to apply this, and I tried to apply that, but it was lacking that focus of where to start and where the quick wins were, and how to really kind of get going and apply it properly. So the roadmaps are great because they give you that structure and that kind of step process of, right, we start here, we work through this, and then when you've ticked that bit off, then you move on to the next stage and you work through there. So we've gone through 3 of the roadmaps now, and we're about ready to move forward to the 4th. And the end of that 3rd one, we got to that point where, do we want to, we've been a foundation member, do we want to move to be an advanced member? And that's what we've now signed up to do. And I found it massively helpful to have that structure of, are we ready for the tools? So you get more stuff as an advanced member. Are we ready for that? And it's great to have that kind of structure around, yes, we are. It also tallied really, really well with some of the other work we were doing. So things like relaunching the website, going through a roadmap, looking at how you're positioning your business, how you're marketing it, and that really helped me with redoing the website. So, it's AVN's a sort of more holistic thing. It's not just those immediate tools that you've got in front of you. It's also how you approach the other areas of your business, and how you help to move yourself forwards.
So just talk through. I mean, I suppose we've talked about some of the tools there. We've talked about the roadmaps. What about the support that you've had from AVN as well?
Is Andrea in the room?
Cheers.
Hello. I have, or Emma and I have, because Emma and I do this very much together. Emma and I have regular calls with Andrea, and before Andrea was around with another member of what was then the CAT team, and it's like having your own business coach included in the deal. And Andrea helps us to pick through our goals and our objectives and ask the questions, to go with that. So we were talking about what we need to do financially to get us onto a firmer footing. So, well, why don't you use this tool? Why don't you use that when you're doing your monthly reviews? You need to look at what your key business indicators are, and then how you tweak each one of those. And it's just fantastic having somebody there for support. I had a meeting with a prospect that I went to 2 months ago, and I put some things into Times Up, into one of my tweaks for some more business advisory services. And I had a prospect who luckily told me ahead of time that they were particularly interested with some of the stuff that we've got on the website and in Times Up, where I wasn't necessarily very confident to have that conversation with the prospect. So I phoned AVN, and I think it was Jenny who got stuck with me that day, who very patiently talked me through a couple of things that I could sound coherent in my meeting with the prospect. So the extra support that you get is, you use it, definitely use it. You'll get much more value from AVN if you've got somebody there who's championing you through it.